Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Meet the Author. My name is Niyi Adeoshun of Nukan Publications. I'm an author, I'm a publisher, and I'm using this opportunity to bring to you some of the people that I have worked with in the publishing business. One of our latest authors is the Dr. Joyce Edeki. She's just written a book entitled Embracing Change Painlessly. So I'm not going to say too much about her. I'm going to just open the floor. Let her say a little bit about herself, and then I'm going to ask her a few questions. Questions that have been coming in from some of our viewers, which I want to ask her right now. Dr. Joyce, Dr. Edeki, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Welcome to this program. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? I called you a doctor, which means you're a doctor. Are you a proper doctor, or just a PhD holder?
No, I'm a medical doctor. I trained as a medical doctor. So I actually see patients, I make diagnoses, and I treat them. I can prescribe.
All right.
The difference between the book doctor and myself, but I went through medical school, yes.
Okay. She's a doctor. Okay, I need to begin asking you questions. We'll be coming back to some of those personal things later. So you are a doctor. Now, what inspired you to begin writing in general?
In spite of being a medical doctor, I love to teach.
Okay.
And I think the flair for teaching is the brainchild behind me writing. In 2009, in my local church, I co-facilitated the Mind Workout Gym, which was an open CBT group. It ran for about 6 months. And at the end of the day, I had, a lot of participants who had very, very fantastic and phenomenal outcomes, asked me to write a book, put all of this in a book. A lot of people will benefit from it. That was the message I was hearing from most of them.
Okay.
And that was how, this whole book thing started.
All right. Thank you very much. So we're talking about inspiration. What inspired you to actually write this particular book? I'm talking about this Embracing Change Painlessly. Writing a book is very much writing this one. So tell us, please.
This particular book, it's actually an offshoot from that Mind Workout Gym. It was a virtual gym where a group of Christian believers in my local church, one of the apostolic churches in Kent, where I live, we send out surveys to ask them what kind of topics would they be interested in. And following on to that, they gave me topics. Myself and a colleague of mine, who is also a consultant psychiatrist, both work as consultant psychiatrists, albeit in various specialties. We came together and facilitated the group. The outcome was phenomenal in terms of the benefits to individuals and to families who attended. And the age group of people who attended this group ranged from, young people in their teenage years right through to the oldest person in that group was about 70 years old. So that was the kind of mix that we had, and we had to cater for the needs of everyone.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now let's talk about the book itself. Can you tell me about this book? Just tell us what the book is all about. We know it's about embracing change. Can you go a little bit? Just give us some idea about what we can read in it. I've already gone through parts of it. I just wanted, just for the sake of our audience.
Essentially, like I said earlier on, it's a brief overview of the activities that happened during the Mind Workout Gym. And like I said, it's all about maximizing the mind. It's all about exploring the interface between spirituality and the Word of God. Now, the Word of God particularly was the main tool of use. I always compare it to the physical gym. When you go to the physical gym, you can use equipment, you can use to have workouts. But the important thing is that you tend to have an instructor who will sit with you and explore what your aims are, and then they will tailor your workout to to achieve those aims.
Okay.
So essentially, that's what this book is about. It's about maximizing your mind, how you can capture your thoughts, how you can capture those thoughts to influence your feelings, your emotions, and subsequently your behavior. So in other words, it's about becoming your best self. A lot of people live their lives without necessarily living their best potential. So essentially, that's what this book is about you becoming your best self.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I need to ask something because I've gone through the book. There's something that I found there which I need to ask you now. You can be as brief or as in-depth as you want. What is emotional intelligence?
Oh, interesting. I kind of call emotional intelligence as the essential ingredients that make you most effective in relationships across the board. And as you know, every human being, we are all social beings. We have one form of relationship or the other. Within the family, we have our spouses, we have our children. At workplaces, we have our work colleagues, we have relationships with our junior colleagues, relationship with our bosses. So every aspect of life, you have relationships. When you go out to the shops, you have relationships. So emotional intelligence actually is that edge, is the dimension of intelligence that helps you to understand what's going on the inside of you as a person, the intra, and then you have the extra, the external, how you can read, you can actually palpate the tone of other people and then modulate your emotions to interact effectively with them. Now, if you had a high level of emotional intelligence, what then will happen is you will be highly successful and effective in your relationships. So that's essentially what it is about. Emotional intelligence is about you knowing yourself, having a high degree of self-awareness, and also understanding what are the key things about other people that you can modulate as you relate with them. So it's very, very key for human existence, not only just existence, but being effective and effectual in everyday living.
Thank you very much, Dr. Edeki. Now, I found there are some of your, because I went through the whole book anyway. You said change and changing, knowing your identity, emotional intelligence, which you've already talked to us about, perception and perception shifting, cell-to-cell communication. Can you just briefly touch on that one? Let's just talk about cell-to-cell communication. What does it mean?
Essentially, the human being, we are human beings. Yes. As human beings, we are living. That's a characteristic thing that makes us human and alive.
Okay.
Living. So every cell, every tissue that makes up this human being you're seeing is living. So the essence here is to make us aware of the fact that the various senses that we have, all of them work together, not in isolation, but in unison with every cell, every tissue, every organ in your body. Okay. Because they are all living cells.
All right.
So when you see a cell that is living, the characteristics tell me what makes us different from a cadaver, a body that is a human body, but doesn't have life in it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Cell-to-cell communication. Now, I now need to ask, because it's very interesting, because you mixed some things to do with Bible and stuff like that with medical stuff. So I now need to ask you this question. Who is your ideal reader? Who is this book actually written to? Who will enjoy it? Who will benefit the most from it?
I think any curious human being will benefit from it. Okay. Any curious human being will benefit from it.
I did benefit from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You did
Okay.
repeat for me. I'm going to be asking you there.
Oh. All right.
Any
So
human
anybody.
being
Yeah.
who is keen to understand how their mind works, why, and how to maximize their minds.
Yes.
We all have a very finite time on this earth. Very, very short span of life. We may think it may be 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, even 100 and 120, but it is very, very minute compared to, the scope of things. We need to make the most of that period whilst we are here on earth. And that brings us to, if you know yourself really well, you understand how your mind works, and then you are able to use the owner's manual, which I consider as the Bible, the Word of God, then you are able to know how to fix any situation that is amiss, any aspect that is not working as it ought to work. You are able to mend it and eventually make it become the best. That's why I say becoming your best self. That's what this book is about.
That's the key. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I need to now ask, how much research did you have to do to bring out this wonderful book? How much research did you have to do?
I did a lot of research. Every aspect of the book, I had to question the knowledge that I already had.
Okay.
Because as you know, knowledge is constantly changing. And I had to do, and this book has been in the making for years, like I said, since 2009, so it's been a long time. I had to, review it, check it out, find what information there is that is kind of evolved over time. And things are constantly changing. There may be still some things that I need to improve on, but yes, I did a lot of research.
Okay. All right, thank you. What was your writing process? What was it like? How did you do the writing? Did you just deliberately sit down and say, I'm going to write now, or you have a set time that you write, or not, or you write on the go? What was your writing process like?
I think I kind of I'm incredibly busy. I must say that I'm incredibly busy, and so finding the time to write. That also fits into the time why this book took this long to emerge. I work as a consultant psychiatrist. I'm a lay preacher. I'm a busy mother of 3 young men.
You're very busy.
And despite all of that, what I just depended on was, getting, when I had moments of inspiration, when I had thoughts coming to my mind, I had a notebook with me, and I had multiple notebooks eventually over time, and the ideas were, hidden in all these notebooks. I said, no, you know what? I need to start writing them in my laptop. And that was what I did. So I'll write it. I have probably maybe up to 20 versions of this same book. My computer.
Okay.
Yes.
So in your writing process, what was the most difficult part of it? Did you find any part of it difficult at all?
I think my greatest problem was the procrastination.
Okay.
Each time I would just put it, I said, I'll do it some other time, I'll do it some other time. But procrastination is a thief of time. And I really needed to pray to God, every step of the way, asking him for strength and grace to get this book out eventually. And that's why, if anything, I'm really super grateful to God that at last I've been able to bring out this first one. So with this out of the way, hopefully others are going to come out a lot.
Okay. Okay, we'll hold you to that. Okay, so while you are doing your little writing here and there, putting everything into your laptop, did you have a special drink or special snack that you used to take during that time? Because some people, they have a special snack that when you see them having that one, the business is going on in their heads and stuff like that. Did you have anything like that?
It's interesting you ask a question like that. I love hazelnuts, and I always have a pack, on my table. I have a tray by my table. On that tray, I have a kettle and my mug, because what I then notice is, because I'm so busy, if I leave my desk and go off to walk out from there to either the kitchen, that may be the end of writing that day, or probably that whole week, because I'll find something that will kind of take, tickle my fancy and take my attention. So essentially that was what I was doing. I eat a lot of nuts, but I don't go for the groundnuts and the cashew nuts, and they're a bit too much of calories for me. I just stick with the hazelnuts.
So,
And intermittently, I also tend to use herbal teas a lot. I stay away from caffeinated drinks. Yeah, awake too much.
So hazelnuts it is, and herbal tea. All right. What do the words writer's block mean to you?
I hear people talk about it.
Yeah, because many of the authors that I've spoken to, they all talk about this writer's block. So I added it to my repertoire of questions. So what does writer's block mean to you, Dr. Edeki?
I mean, I think in my own case, I mean, it wasn't really writer's block. It was more of just being able to manage my time and actually prioritize, completing this book into my schedules. But what I hear people say about writer's block is that, they kind of run dry of ideas. But remember, I had done a pilot study, and in fact, the church called us back to repeat the program the following year. So I knew exactly what we had done, but it was the volume of what we have done, how I could represent it in a tiny book, at the same time, articulate myself to convey the message. That was my challenge, rather than writer's block. But I don't know, maybe that is writer's block too, I don't know. But people say that, their ideas dry out, but mine didn't really dry out. In my case, it was a matter of, finding the time to articulate myself so that I'm able to actually convey what we did, what we actually did during the pilot study.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Now, another question. What has helped or hindered you most when you were writing this book?
What has hindered me most?
And what has helped you most? So we'd like to know the two.
Okay. What has hindered me most was technology.
All right.
Technology, I mean, I panic a lot when my computer will stop listening to me, and I've had to change my computer a few times. And thankfully, I mean, I didn't lose, my material. I mean, that was really, really something that I was worried about, losing materials. I really wanted the originality of the things that we did to reflect in the book.
Yeah.
Because remember, I said, the attendants at the program actually asked, please put this in the book. It will benefit a lot of people. And so, yes, so that was one huge thing. Technical challenge. I'm not really a techno person. I shouldn't be saying that, but it is true. I'm not a techno person. I kind of just look, what am I dealing with here?
Don't worry, it's easy.
And in terms of what made it easy for me, my mind always, wherever I go to, when I'm giving any lecture or giving a talk, I kind of refine on something because I've read around it again. I've gotten some more knowledge, expanding it. So another problem I had was being able to articulate all of this knowledge so that it can flow in a coherent way to the readers. So that was one huge challenge. And I'm an African. English is not really my first language, but that said, I tried my best.
Okay, if you say so. You talk about going to give talks and stuff like that. Let's say you've gone to speak somewhere and somebody makes a negative comment about your speech or about your materials. Yeah. How will you deal with such a person? How will you deal with such a situation? Not the person directly, anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one of the essence of this book, really. It's a matter of taking on board negative criticisms, because we are human beings. Even the most knowledgeable experts, if they are being true to themselves, they still have some blind spots. So it's a matter of taking it on board and reflecting on it and saying, is there something I can do about this? And then and in what vehicle was this comment made? Is it because oftentimes some people, out of either envy or out of just not liking your face, may say things. So you see, I mean, this is where emotional intelligence comes in again.
Okay.
So it's you understanding those and being able to reflect on it and take the learnings out. At the same time, put yourself in the objective space where the natural way it should have affected you doesn't affect you. So it's protecting yourself emotionally, yes. At the same time, taking the learnings on board and using it to better yourself.
Okay. Thank
Yes.
you. We'll take that on board. Now, on a lighter note, I need to ask, how did you celebrate when you finished this book? Yeah, how did you celebrate? What did you do?
I think the celebration was kind of with mixed feelings, really. One, I was excited at last. I finished this book now. And the other aspect was, oh, what will happen if people don't really like it? So there is that inner chatter that comes in. Oh, what if people don't like it? What if it doesn't really convey the message? So I was having to go through all those emotions, but ultimately I had a more positive outlook on it, that, well, I have put it out there now. So that in itself was really empowering, that at last I am an author.
Well done.
I
Anyway,
am an author.
once again, I can just congratulate you. Say well done on doing this. But let's go on. Many authors have said something about Googling themselves, looking for themselves on Google.
Yes.
Do you do that? When was the last time you did anything? Do you do it?
I'll say this. I was doing an appraisal in 1 year, because as a medical doctor, you have to do appraisals every year. Okay. So in this appraisal, you have to give a summary of all the learnings you have gained in the year, what learnings you have gained from it, how it has affected your everyday practice. Not only that, how have you given back, i.e., what have you done with the knowledge? So a friend of mine called me and said, "Oh, I didn't know that you published a document in the BMJ." I said, "Me? Did I? I said, "No, but I don't remember." Anyhow, I had to go and do a Google search. Lo and behold, the publication came out. Now, I read a lot of journals. I read a lot of academic journals and other journals. And one of them was, and if I see anything of interest, I can be very, very vocal, and I always like to express my opinion. So I did actually respond to that, and that was published in the British Medical Journal. So yes, so that was how I actually, I didn't know how they published it. Oh, well, indeed, I have an author then of that particular document. But that said, I have various arms in my life, and then a lot of the mind workout gym work has been going on Facebook, albeit, and then a lot of aspects in my life. I am very passionate about everything I do. So that then means that the world captures my passion, I suppose.
Okay.
So oftentimes when I Google myself, I will say, "Oh, my name has come out here again. Oh, it has come out there again." But albeit, thankfully, it's so good.
Okay. All right, that's nice to know. So do you use social media a lot for all your business? You mentioned that you use Facebook for your mind workout gym stuff. Yes. Is there any other thing that you use? You have a website?
I do have a website, actually.
What's the name, please?
My website is www.edgebalanceliving.com.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll see most of your stuff there. Where will we be able to get this book from? Is it on Amazon? I gather it must be on Amazon.
Yes, it is on Amazon. It's on Baines as well. Okay. It's available as an ebook as well as hard copy book.
Okay.
Some people like me like to have the hard copy one. Yes, I like to have that.
All right, no problem. Let me just go on to some other things. Did you used to read when you were growing up?
Ooh, you ask a question. You know, my mom was was a teacher when she was when I was young.
Yeah.
My dad was also in the was a public servant, but he was in Ministry of Education. He was, you know,
Okay.
so they always bought me books. Before I was 4, 5, I had already started reading. I was just voracious, reading. My dad used to buy me books. I remember there was this book, The Fat Woman, you know, various books like that. I mean, I would just sit down, read. And at the same time, I was also fascinated about writing. You know, at that age, I'll write a letter and I'll say, everybody going to the village, because I was very fond of my grandmother. I would say, I want to write a letter to her. And I'll go and ask her, well, how do you spell I love you? And then I'll write it. And that was how, you know, I would send a letter to her. So from that age, by the time I was about age 7, I was actually going to the library to go and borrow books because my dad wasn't buying me enough to meet my appetite. That was how bad it was. I used to read books voraciously. You know, I read and I was fascinated with stories, and my mom used to sit with me and tell me stories at night, and my dad as well. They used to tell me stories at night, so I used to just enjoy those stories, you know. So I was a voracious reader, and unfortunately, when I started growing up, after becoming a doctor, I kind of slowed down a bit when life takes over, you know. Juggling life, you know, as a lone parent with 3 young men, you know, working full time. So I kind of slacked a bit reading. But a few years ago, I joined a group on Facebook, which was, I actually went searching. I went searching for a book club because I kind of felt I'm slacking here. I need to get myself back on board. And that was it. I found this group and I joined them. So every month we have a book to read. So that has kind of brought me back again to that, my enthusiasm and zeal to zest for reading books. So I'm really delighted that I have actually gotten that aspect back.
Okay. So while we are still on that, which one do you prefer? Ebooks, print books, or audiobooks?
At my age now, I prefer audiobooks because I can multitask with them.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I've discovered that even with the audiobooks, I like to still have the paper book. So I will order the audiobook and order the paper book. I spend a lot of money actually on books, and I will lie on my bed, you know, listening at the same time, you know, reading, because there is something about engaging multiple senses when you're reading. You tend to assimilate much more from the book. When I'm multitasking and reading, I do that more, especially when I'm driving, because I do a lot of driving by nature of my work. I work far away, so I'm always driving. I just slot in my audiobooks and I'm just reading, listening. Listening as I'm reading. So yes, I do a lot of audio now, but I still like to read. And when I read as if I'm reading a textbook. I will have my inks with me, highlighting it.
Good.
So that's why I like to have my own copy of the book, you know, so I can really mark it the way I want to.
All right, no problem. So your book, the way I've seen it, it will be like a reference book for a lot of people. It's not something that you just read once and you just drop it. You understand? Now I need to ask you, which books have you read more than once in your life? Apart from the Bible.
The Bible, I can never have enough of the Bible. I read it over and over again. Every year I read it over and over again.
So apart from that, which other book have you read more than once?
There are quite a lot of self-development books I've read over and over again, like 7 effective ways of
7 habits of effective people.
Yes, by Stephen Covey.
Yeah.
And if I have a book, I may not go back and read it cover to cover, but particular aspects of the book that actually, resonate with me, I'll go back, read them again. So yes, I do have quite a collection.
Okay. I have just a few more questions to ask you. Now that you're an author, what advice will you give to a writer who is working on his or her first book? What advice will you give them?
I would say, give yourself a target date and get a notebook where you're going to plan out exactly what you intend to do. If you commit to just half an hour every day, just half an hour every day, you'll be able to achieve your goal, but make sure you have a particular place where you assign to your writing. That is very, very key, because if you do not have a place like that, the tendency is you'll be very disorganized, and over time it will take you longer to accomplish your goal. So set the goal, give it a date and a time. And not only do you give it a date and a time, get a dedicated notebook where you write into it how you intend to go from beginning to finish. And the first thing I tend to do, that I will advise, if it's of use to you, is to do a mind mapping session at the beginning. Write everything you want to go into the book in no particular order on a big A3 sheet. Just write. And then spend another session trying to organize them into different sections. And when you do that, it kind of puts a structure to, the information you put on the paper, and that maybe will feed into the chapters of the book. And then you can begin to take it, like I said, just half an hour, dedicate half an hour every day, write it. What will then happen is those will form templates, because you will now expand on this half-hour bit of information you put in to the book over time. And as you're doing your research and getting more information, obviously you're integrating it into the different aspects. And that's how your book eventually come out to be. But if you don't have a plan and walk the plan, your book may never see the light of day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the advice, Dr. Edeki. So my final question, Dr. Edeki, the author, what's next? Where do we go from here?
Okay, so since this book came out, I have decided that I need to get out a podcast so that we can talk a little more about what the mind workout gym is about and more about what's in this book. Like I said, this is only a brief intro into the things that have to do with the mind, the spirit, the soul, and the body, and how you can engage with the Word of God and get the maximum benefit from it all. So definitely, I'm very busy going around giving talks, and hopefully I'm going to be doing a launch pretty soon. I'll have some multiple launches, a virtual launch and a probably face-to-face one once COVID allows it. And then hopefully, eventually, we'll see how we can work on the oncoming projects.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Edeki. It's been wonderful having you here. Thank you for answering our call to come onto this broadcast.
Thank you.
I hope by the time your next book comes out, you still want to come and visit us here.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Thank you. That we're glad about. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's our Dr. Edeki, our special guest for today. That's her book, Embracing Change Painlessly, Maximizing the Mind and Embracing God's Word. The book is available on Amazon. It's available on Barnes & Nobles and everywhere else where good books are sold. So please go and get your copy. You can get it in paperback or you can get it as Kindle. Anyway, for now, until we bring our next guest up, I will say thank you and thank you for joining us today, and have a good day. Bye.